Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name's Renee if you're new. Before we jump into this video, I do want to say a huge shout out to anyone who responded and wished me well wishes this Christmas. It was definitely a very weird Christmas, but I had a really good time being back home, and it was just really nice to kind of put work away and focus on my family. And I just want to let you guys know I felt all the love and I really appreciate it, and I love you guys so much. And I'm so excited for the new year and all the stuff that we're going to do together, and we're going to grow even more than we have this year, which is insane. And I just really appreciate you guys kind of following my journey and really caring about me. I just really love you guys so freaking much. So huge shout out to anyone that responded or gave me well wishes. I felt them all. I had a really wonderful Christmas. I hope you guys did as well. We're diving into New Year content, which is really exciting. I'm gonna start the kind of New Year content right now with the best books that I've read and the worst books that I've read this year. This is something that I did last year that I'm gonna start implementing every year on my channel because it's so fun. If you guys follow along my reading journey with me, you guys can see all the books that I read on Goodreads. I'm sure if you guys do follow along, you have read some of these with me, and I just love reading. It's something that I'm so thankful that I have in my life, and if you don't read, I highly recommend to add that to your New Year's resolution list because it just is good for the soul, you know? So instead of doing the fiction and non-fiction books this year, because I stopped reading self-help books and like non-fiction books mid-year, so I didn't have as much to choose from, I'm just gonna do the top 3 combined and then the worst 3 combined as well. So I'm gonna start off with the worst, that way we can end the video on a more positive note. I don't want to leave you guys with like any negativity, but all right. So the third worst book that I read this year is How to Win Friends and Influence People. I was so disappointed in this book. It's been on my list to read for so long, and I finally picked it up, and I thought it was going to be one of those books that was one of my favorite books. So I think just the very high expectation of this book and what everyone talks about with this book, I just had really high expectations for it, and it just fell through. I don't even think I read the ending. Like, I kind of just skimmed through the end. I thought this was a timeless piece, but it wasn't. The copyright is 1936, so yeah, it's just very outdated. It's really sad because I got one of my friends to read this who doesn't read self-help books. I'm like, oh, you have to read self-help books. They like make you feel so good about yourself. They make you like accomplish goals. And we both read this together, and it was such a really shitty introduction to a nonfiction book for her, and I was like so disappointed. So basically it's How to Win Friends and Influence People. So it's basically like how to get people to like you. And I thought it was more like how you can like show your true authentic self more to people so they can like trust and rely on you and just fully feel like personable with you. But it was more like how to trick them into liking you, which I really didn't like make people like you by faking it. I don't know, I just didn't like the ideas about it. And it's like all about what other people think about you. So it's like how to make the person feel X, Y, and Z about you. And it's like, well, no offense, I'm not gonna sit there and try to make somebody like me and be like their version of what they want me to be. Like, either you like me or you don't. And that's kind of why I didn't like this book, was more geared towards just like the fakeness of it all. And I didn't like the author. So I wrote, for a man that says people focus on themselves too much, he uses I in every sentence. Like, he just, I don't know, I didn't like it. It wasn't my forte. The second worst on my list was Addicted to the Monkey Mind. I went through my review on Goodreads, and I honestly don't even remember reading this book, but I remember being really angry about it, and I said that I'm never gonna read a self-help book ever again. Like, that's how bad it was. It was just very guru, like there's a name for it, pseudoscience, where it's just like hokey pokey. And especially everything that I went through this year, I just like couldn't stand the ideology of like believe magic and all this stuff, especially when it comes to like materialistic things. Like, I can't stand the gurus. Even when I talked about law of attraction, I never talked about like this, trying to manifest like your dream car and money and all this stuff. Like, I find a lot of that spiritual side, they don't talk as much like within and like being a good person and a better person, or family and friends and connecting. It's like all, what can I get and how can I like be better than, like, it's very like egotistical, and I couldn't stand it. This was one of them. I thought this was going to be a way to like reprogram your mind into thinking more positively, but it's reprogramming your mind to think stupidly. Like, no offense. Also, I should have said this before, disclaimer, if you like these books, it's nothing personal. This is just my personal opinion, and this is what I got from it. So yeah, after this is like when I stopped reading self-help books for the end of the year. I think also with everything going on for 2020, I just was so over think positive and do this. Like I was just like no. So yeah, not a fan of this one. And then the last one I had high hopes for because I love Carrie Underwood. I think she's amazing, but it's the Find Your Path. I read Kristen Cavallari's book kind of like this, and Kate Hudson's book, where it's kind of just like a lifestyle wellness kind of book, and I loved those. So I thought this was going to be kind of the same thing. And this was really damaging for my mind, very triggering. The way that she tracks her food, weighs her food, talks about food is very like disorderly thinking, and I hate that she promoted that because I don't feel like you need to weigh your food or, you know, look at food the way she does and like track every calorie and track every little thing that you eat. I think obviously like if you're trying to lose weight, like to each their own, but to me that's very disorderly and I don't think it's natural. I thought also because she grew up like, I would say normal, but like not in like the public eye, so I thought I could like connect with her on that level. But she's very like celebrity mindset because she has an RV that she travels with all her like a gym basically, which, you know, I would too if I was Carrie Underwood. But she said you don't need your own RV with a with a gym or something like that. And I was like, that's not something normal that you say. Like, you don't say, but don't worry about it, your at-home workouts, you don't need an RV. Like, I was just kind of thrown back. I didn't like her mindset really. It's just very disorderly, and I really, this was my worst book I read this year because of that. It was just not healthy to read for especially young women that are looking up to her. Not my thing. So those are the worst books. On to more positive things. I'll share with you guys my top 3 books that I read this year. I'm going to start with number 3. So the third top book that I read this year is I Can't Make This Up by Kevin Hart. I love Kevin Hart's work ethic. He grinds in the gym. He works his ass off business-wise. He's funny, and I think he's definitely like not the funniest as he used to be, and I know there's like controversy sometimes surrounding him, but as a person, he grinds, you know. And if you need that kind of like little extra push in your step, like this is such a motivational book. He goes further in depth of like the grind that got him to where he was. Like, he really tries hard in all aspects of his life. And he also makes it just kind of lighthearted and fun. It's not anything too serious. It's not like do X, Y, and Z and you'll become rich and famous and you can get abs or whatever. It's like, here's what I did and this is what I did. And it's like a really good story of like hard work. He went through a lot. He's very open about like his personal struggles, like his cheating scandals and all of that, which I really liked. He was very honest about it. It was so funny. It was a very quick read, which I loved, and it just is a really great like inspirational story on you can get what you want, and it doesn't necessarily mean sacrificing other parts of your life. I just think he just super motivational. I feel really inspired when I read this book, and it was funny, it was interesting, and I really liked it. So number 2 and number 1 were a very close second. They should both be number 1. So the number 2 that I've chosen is Where the Crawdads Sing. This book, reading the synopsis of it, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. I saw it on a whole bunch of like reading lists and New York Times bestsellers. Reese Witherspoon's book club it was in, which I really love her books that she gets into. So I was like, I'm gonna try it. And it's such a good book about like family, it's about love, hardship, and it's about loneliness, which I read this like in the middle of quarantine. It's just, oh my god, I actually cried. It is so good. So basically it's about this girl who is named the Marsh Girl, who lives in the marsh, and it's in a North Carolina coast town, and it's in the late 60s. That's another thing I don't typically like to do, is like read about books from back in the day, but this was so good. She survived for years alone in the marsh, and it's a really good also story about nature. I don't know how to explain it. Like, it just sounds like it's not as good, but I'm telling you guys, it's amazing. And the ending, just read it. Trust me, read it. I'll link all these 2 down below, so if you guys want to shop around, in the description box. Number 1 is The Kite Runner. Again, a book that I read on a lot of people's, you have to read this before you die. But then I read the back and I'm like, nah, not my thing. And I honestly wasn't looking forward to reading this. I was just reading it because I was like interested, like, why does everyone like this? I think some schools even require reading it. I read this in like 3 days. It was amazing. And the movie was even like the same. Like, it was so good. Basically, this is about two boys who grew up in Afghanistan, and one of the boys is like has a rich dad. His best friend is the servant's son, so they technically live together, they grew up together, but just different class. And this I was reading like in the middle of like the whole political stuff, like with the presidency and everything like that, and it's just such a good story about like privilege, America, and it like made me feel so grateful for my life. Like when you see how other countries are, like all we do is complain and bitch in America. Like, no offense, I'm not trying to get on a political rant, but just you don't understand the like gratitude and appreciation if you compare yourself to like other countries that have it so bad. Something happened in Afghanistan, like where it used to be kind of almost more like Western, but now it kind of got run over by this group, and that's when it kind of went all down. So it just shows the difference of like privilege in terms of like that country and race and America. Like it was so good. I said it's an eye-opening experience of privilege, forgiveness, goodness, and time. Ooh, the sun is out. And I wrote, I've never felt so thankful for my life. It's a really grounding experience. I just think it's amazing. I think everyone should read that once. Have to read. Like literally you have to read. So yeah, if you guys want to comment down below your top and worst books that you read this year, I would love to read through them. Please do that. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I love you guys, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye.